All right, Eagles win 22-14 over the Bears to go 5-4 heading into the bye week. Thanks for joining us on the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh, Amy Campbell, Fran Duffy, Ike Reese. You guys, an ugly win is still a win, as they say in the football world. And we have to give the Eagles credit, especially that last drive. 16 plays, 8 minutes and 14 seconds with the Jake Elliott field goal to ice it. Ike, let's just start to put a bow on this thing for the people.
Well, I mean, a tough game. You obviously want to come out with the victory. They don't have to be pretty. They all count as a W.
W is a W.
Yeah, as long as you have more points than your opponent at the end of the game, that's all that truly matters. And going into the bye week, they obviously needed to keep the momentum from last week going. Back at home after 3 weeks, you know, you get up on a team like Chicago who doesn't seem to pose a big threat to you. You can sort of be lethargic a little bit, and I think that's what it was in the first half. Didn't have a lot of juice going out there offensively, but they fought through that and wound up making the big plays late in the game, which you needed to do to salt away this victory.
Yeah, and I think, too, that this is, while this team, Chicago, obviously is not playing well, this is a battle-tested team that was in the playoffs. They've got a lot of veterans on that team, so they weren't just going to go away. So, you know, the Eagles, they keep them in the game. They were able to fight back into it, and then you had the close game at the end. But really good to pull away with a victory.
Well, and this is a good defense, a defense that was very good today, very disruptive, really gave the Eagles offense a lot of fits, and yet they were still able to get enough points, more points than the Chicago offense was able to put up. A lot of penalties for them.
Yep.
Eagles absolutely dominated in the time of possession. If I can pull up this number here, 40 minutes for the Eagles to 19:42 for Chicago. You can't win a lot of games when you don't have the ball that long.
Yeah, and a lot of that is due to the way the Eagles defense played today. We know that this Bears offense struggled coming into this game. Mitchell Trubisky struggled at the quarterback position, and I like what the Eagles defense did, particularly in the first half. A lot of 3-and-outs there, really smothering this Bears offense, keeping everything in front of them, taking away the running game. And then to complement what the Eagles defense was doing is the offense was possessing the ball.
Yep.
We didn't get a lot of touchdowns there in the first half, but I thought they drove the ball down their first 2 drives with efficiency, got it in the red zone. Unlike the Eagles, not to cash in for touchdowns, but the Bears, again, a stingy defense. They're going to make you fight for every blade of grass, particularly when you get down there in that red zone. And the Eagles weren't necessarily able to capitalize and get touchdowns. It's the only reason the Bears were still in this game. It's because their defense were able to help hold the Eagles' offense to field goals early in that first half as opposed to touchdowns, or this may have been a blowout, which really allowed the Bears to get back in the game. So you give their defense some credit for really fighting to keep their team in. But quite frankly, with the exception of the one big play Trubisky hit for the 53 yards, I think it was to Gabriel. The Bears offense really wasn't a real threat out there.
Yeah, 202 yards in the first half for the Eagles offense, 9 for the defense. I mean, that's all the defense allowed in the first half, and it was 1 before that final possession in garbage time at the end of the second quarter. So 0 for 6 on third down, the Bears offense was to start the game in the first half. Really, the defense, they came out like gangbusters early on. We talked about it. They came out really, really strong. Like you mentioned it, the offense was able to salt away drives. They did a really good job possessing the football. You just want to see them punch it in for touchdowns at the end of those drives, really make the defense pay and really put them out of their misery early in the game. Obviously, that was not the case, and they were able to bounce back.
Well, and really giving Mitchell Trubisky a difficult time today as well. He completed only 10 of 21 passes, 47.6%, 125 yards. He was sacked 3 times. His longest pass was that 53-yarder, but quarterback rating of 66.6%. Not a great day, and you could just see that he was emotionally affected by what the Eagles defense was doing to him today.
Yeah, Mike, you know it when you get into a quarterback's head and you've got him early on.
He's
you remember
yes,
that feeling. You remember that feeling. I mean, that's the Eagles had them on the ropes, and so they came out with a new game plan in the second half, and that was, even though they were behind, they were still going to run the football, extra tight ends, extra offensive linemen, play action, make things well defined for the quarterback, and they were able to. That was a formula that worked for them early in the game.
And let's be honest, the last 2 weeks the Eagles didn't have to face a real offensive threat, right? You know, 2 offenses that will run the ball, quarterbacks will scramble around a little bit, but for the most part, you got to give this Eagles defense credit for basically taking care of business like they should.
All right, we have Dave Spadaro standing by from the Lincoln Financial Field to give us a little bit more on this Eagles victory. Dave, you had a front row seat to this victory for the Eagles today. What allowed them to get this W? Not a beautiful W. We'll take the ugly win on this one.
Yeah, I'll take the ugly win. I don't mind that at all. I will say this, as much as you're talking about the defense, I just caught the tail end of what Ike was saying. I will say way the Eagles again consumed some clock at the end of the game, converted 3 third downs, the first third down of 10 yards or more that the Bears have allowed all year. And they did it as Alshon Jeffrey comes off the field limping. So they had J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Nelson Aguilar, and 2 tight ends on the field. And they were really resourceful. And that was good to see. You know, Carson Wentz doesn't get the credit here for the fourth quarter comeback win, but the way that he managed that last possession, the way that he got rid of the football accurately, tight windows, very impressive to ice this victory.
I'm wondering, Dave, when you look at the offense, right? Deshaun in practice all week, unable to go after the first series. How much do you think that sort of played into what the Eagles were able to do the rest of the game offensively?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much they actually counted on Deshaun Jackson to be a major part of today. And I will hear the update from Doug Pederson. My sense is that it's nothing that's really a setback here. It just didn't open up for Deshaun in the game situation. But, I mean, they've obviously gotten used to playing without Deshaun. They've had to utilize their personnel group, their groupings, their ability to move Ertz and Goddard in and out and interchange them, to use Miles Sanders as a receiver. I mean, what a terrific play. The release and the throw from Carson and his ability to gain that third and long play. So, yeah, it's not explosive. It's not pretty. They're not scoring enough points, okay, on a consistent basis. We all expect more. But in this case, against a very good defense, the Eagles held the football for the duration of the fourth quarter, and that was critical without 2 of their big weapons, not only Deshaun Jackson, but for the most part here after that first catch, without Alshon Jeffrey.
Well, Dave, the only question I've got for you is obviously, you know, you're so close, you're so tied in as the Eagles insider. I'd love to know, what is the state of this team? What's the mindset of this team now going into the bye week? I know you're going to touch on it on the Eagles Insider podcast after the game, but give us your thoughts on where this team is now as they go into the break.
I would say, Fran, very relieved, very much looking forward to the bye week. Bye week never comes at a bad time, right? I mean, this is a really great time for the Eagles to catch their breath. 9 games into the regular season, they're exhausted. A physical game today. No major injuries that I'm aware of. So I think the Eagles will say, look, we are going to enjoy this next week. It doesn't matter if it's ugly or not today. Who cares? You don't get style points here. And then come back for these final 7 games and feel really good about this football team.
At the end of the day, it counts as a win, especially with a week off. Great to have that kind of good taste in your mouth heading into a little bit of a break. Dave, thanks so much. We'll catch up with you later.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right. Oh, man. It's nice to be able to talk about a win for a couple weeks, guys.
Well, I used to work with a coach who used to say after games like that, he say it sure feels like feels better than feeling like crap tomorrow. Yeah. That's exactly what, you know, no one will remember in 6 days what this win was like. All that matters is you got that W in the win column.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about Zach Ertz. He had a really good day today. Some big plays. That 4th down with a spin move I thought was super exciting, and of course the touchdown. He had 9 catches on 11 targets today, 103 yards for Zach Ertz, a 25-yard catch as well. I think that's one of the second longest of his career. I think I saw that on Twitter from our John Ganud. There, great game for the Eagles tight end. You could say a bit of a breakout game for him this season.
Yeah, and I think that was a big topic of discussion throughout the course of this week and over the last couple of weeks is how do they get Zach Ertz more involved? And the response had always been, well, you know, he was top 5 in tight ends in the NFL in targets. He was being targeted. They just, for whatever reason, hadn't been able to hook up for sustained success in any one given game. And this was the game where, you know, naturally, positively regressed back towards the Zach Ertz, the production that we're used to from him at the tight end position, right? And really in crucial situations. I mean, we're talking 3rd and 15, or 4th and 2 early in the game, 3rd and 1 early in the game, 2 15-yard pickups on those first 2 drives that helped the Eagles put points on the board to start the game. And then obviously that touchdown catch to get him in the end zone. Some crucial situations, Zach Ertz is able to come through.
Yeah, a little bit of a different defensive game plan from the Bears. You know, most of these defensive game plans have been centered around not allowing Zach Ertz to really take over football games the way he has in years past. And credit to Carson all year long, not trying to force the ball to him, right? He obviously, as a quarterback, you know how much you can rely on the guy, and when things aren't going well on the outside, you almost want to go back to your security blanket. But I give Carson a lot of credit of being able to sort of stay away from trying to force him the ball and just let it come to him naturally. And today, there were some opportunities there to get him the ball, and he was able to get it to him. Zach Ertz still still one of the best tight ends in football. I don't understand the noise from the outside about throwing the ball to him too much. Where I come from, you try to get the ball to your best players as much as you can. And Zach Ertz is one of the best offensive weapons we have.
Well, and it's about taking what the defense gives you. And
Yeah.
I think well said that we've seen a lot of teams this week or this season play the Eagles and really give Zach Ertz a lot of attention. He's been double teamed multiple times this year. That's not, that's not what they got today. Today he was the guy who got things going. Let's talk about the play calling a little bit because like you said, this Bears defense, a different kind of defense than this team has faced before. They were able to really be aggressive and cause a lot of problems for the Eagles. What did you see from Doug Pederson in terms of his creativity, taking what the defense gives him?
I like the play calling from the day. Obviously there are some plays they want to hit on. There were some opportunities there against a team like the Chicago Bears. You have to be calculated when you take chances down the field. This team hadn't given up a play pass over 25 yards all year long. They just don't give up deep balls, and you had better be patient as an offense, or they'll take advantage of it because they're an opportunistic defense. I thought today the Eagles kept them off balance. They stayed true to their running game, but more importantly, they threw the ball on first down at times, right? Coming into this game, most of us are thinking, stick to the running game, get to second and short, third and short, and then you try to throw the ball. Well, the Bears are thinking that as well. They load up the box for the run game on first down. I thought the Eagles' game plan, take advantage of it on the outside, out routes to Deshaun, out routes to Alshon. When they were able to catch the ball, the plays were there. So I like the game plan today. I thought when you're playing against a defense like the Bears, you want to respect them, but you also want to challenge them. You just want to be smart about it. And I didn't think the ball was in harm's way very much today from an offensive standpoint. Carson even at times took some negative plays because that's what needed to be done in that situation. Not forcing the ball, just take what the defense gives you and live to fight another day.
I mean, that 25-yard touchdown by Zach Ertz, that was the longest touchdown they've allowed all year in Chicago. I mean, that was they had not allowed a touchdown, run, or pass of more than 20 yards. So to me, that kind of speaks to what we're talking about with this defense. The number that's going to bother them the most in Chicago, the Eagles were 8 of 18 on third down. I mean, they were near 50%.
And they're the best third down team in the league.
To do that against
what we talked about coming in here.
No question.
That was what you were watching.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's going to be a stat that they're going to look at tomorrow and say, man, we could have had a lot better of an outcome if we had done better on third down.
Well, the Eagles do a great job of taking care of the football today. No turnovers. Actually, no. They lost one fumble, right?
Yes,
they lost a fumble.
So there's one late.
Yes, at the end. But a pretty clean game all around. Let's talk about the offensive line. And another thing coming in here that we were looking at was this matchup of Khalil Mack and everybody that was going to be matching up against him, but all eyes on Andre Dillard, the rookie, with that start. What did you see at first glance from him in this matchup?
Well, I will say this. Number one, it would be the number one thing that I'm most excited to watch tomorrow when studying the film is exactly what they did in terms of trying to chip him and sliding protection and things like that. So I'll chart that for the Eagle Eye in the Sky column for tomorrow. But to me, the game plan, we talked about the play calling earlier. I mean, it was damn near picture perfect early on. I mean, you saw play action, you saw quick game, you saw run game, you saw RPOs, everything, misdirection, screen game, things to get the ball out quickly or at least keep the defensive line on their toes. As a pass rusher, if you're Khalil Mack, you had no idea to just, hey, we're just going to dial this back and go. It's very, very hard to do that when the offense is mixing things up as well as they were.
Absolutely. And we know we talked also a little bit pregame about Jordan Howard facing his former team and just how great he's been here with the Eagles. Jordan Howard, 19 attempts, carries, 82 yards for a touchdown today against his former team. And he is one-on-one with Eagles insider Dave Spadaro.
The Eagles running back Jordan Howard, a big game for you and obviously an emotional game. What was it like out there against your former team?
I mean, it was great just talking to those guys. I've been with them for like 3 years, so it was great just seeing them again.
The way this offense performed today, the running game the last couple of weeks, it's really been there.
Yeah, whatever it takes to win, that's what we're going to do. So we got to get it by any means.
Jordan, how do you feel at 5-4 about this team with a bye week ahead?
I feel great. It's time to get even healthier and just get on the roll.
Eagles convert 3 third downs on that last drive. That was huge. The ability to execute there obviously kind of won the football game.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because at first they were stopping us on third down, so when it mattered, we were able to get it, so that's all that matters.
Jordan Howard, thank you very much. Congratulations. Eagles running back.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jordan. Really exciting. I'm sure this win means a little extra something to him and Alshon too, but it's a little bit fresher for Jordan Howard, who's been having a really great season here with the Eagles. A huge addition to this offense, Ike.
Yeah, starting to find his rhythm. He's clearly established himself as sort of your lead runner, getting the touches in between the tackles. And you're starting to see that the more carries you give him, he can start to wear down the defense. You know, there's not going to be very many explosive plays when you get the ball to Jordan, but you're going to get great ball security. And the thing that I love about him, that Fran loves about him, is that he typically falls forward. There are very few times where he's losing yardage and going backwards. He's typically falling forward. It's great to see him go up against his former team today, get a touchdown, do a nice job. So, I mean, listen, we're formulating a nice 1-2 punch here. It's rare in this league that you have sort of a 3-down back. So to have guys like Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders where you can sort of mix and match and keep defenses off balance, I think the Eagles are starting to establish an identity in their running game.
What is that like as a defender when you feel like you've got the guy, all right, I fit the run perfect, I read run pass, I got downhill, I'm in my gap, 2-yard gain, all right, I did my job. And then you look up and you're like, that guy gained 5.
Yeah.
What does that do to you as a defender?
Oh, it's demoralizing. It's demoralizing, right? Because you feel like you're in place, but when you're going against a guy like a Jordan Howard or an Eddie George or a Brandon Jacobs, you know these guys, man. These guys.
All right, Coach is ready at the podium. Let's hear what he has to say after this win.
Stand by, Pederson presser, stand by.
Coach.
Coming out of Dallas, looking kind of group, were you thinking at all, if we can get through these next 2 games, get 2 pretty good teams, get to the bye, get a little healthier, get things a little bit back together? I know it's a 1 week at a time league, but is that kind of the way you're sitting here right now thinking about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we didn't like how we played in the Cowboy game. Just wasn't what we expected, and just we I hate to look down the road. I hate to look past the next opponent, obviously, but we knew we had a tough road schedule right there, 3 games in a row, but we looked up to and we said, hey, we can weather that storm. We got a couple 3 games here at home, and we just try to take it one at a time, honestly, and we get guys healthy, get guys back, offensively and defensively, and see what we can do. You still got a lot of trust. I still have a lot of faith and trust in the coaches and the players, and we're fortunate to get these last 2.
How's Deshaun Jackson doing after coming out? Was that the plan? Like, what was the plan with Deshaun today?
Well, the plan was to play him, obviously, and so we'll have some more testing done in the morning. I'll have probably a better update on him, but the plan was to play him.
The entire game.
Yeah.
Did he tweak himself, or is this precautionary?
Just precautionary right now. We'll get some more testing on him. Find out tomorrow.
Doug, what did you tell the team after this win about going into the bye and getting some momentum for the rest of the season?
Well, the first thing I told him was, this is really a really good team win today. All 3 phases. We saw it on offense, we saw it on defense, and then of course special teams there at the end. And so a great team win, a way to finish out, the first, 9 games of our season anyway, and heading into this bye. But, more importantly, I just challenged the team now with some time off, for everybody to really soul search, dig deep, and come back in a frame of mind that's ready to continue what we've sort of started here in the last couple of weeks, and just to challenge them that way, to think about how we want this second half of the season to look. But I was really proud of the guys for battling today. It's a good football team. The Bears are a good team. They're well coached, got great players, and our guys hung in there and fought.
Do you have any feel for this team? The ebb and flow has been so big, throughout the season. You're up, you're down. Do you have any feel for where you are right now?
I just what I see with this football team and kind of what we've done, what we've gone through, some of the adversity we've been faced with injury and all the nitpicking here, there on the outside from the media, whatever, is this team finds a way to stick together and to battle. And you saw it again today. And I know the type of guys that we have, and it's guys that, I can trust my offensive line. I can trust my quarterback. I can put it in their hands. I can trust, the guys on the perimeter, our defense. Our defensive line is getting healthy and added some talent there. And I just, things are starting to come for us, and we just got to continue to trust our process. and continue to build and grow and just take it one at a time, one game at a time, and see what happens.
Doug, there's obviously a lot of collaboration with players who were here for the Super Bowl win, but when you see someone like Miles come through and you trust that process and buy into it as well, I wonder whether you feel like the foundation of winning that Super Bowl is a knock-on effect for some guys who have come since.
Well, obviously, it's a great thing to accomplish in this league, and it's something that we can look back and we can sort of draw our strength sometimes from that journey and what we went through. That year we were faced with adversity late in the season. That year as well, the last 2 years, and kind of that same way the beginning of this season. But you constantly, for me, it's about speaking the same language and talking the same language to the team and being transparent with the guys and being honest with the guys and bringing new guys in, whether they're free agents, whether they're draft picks, and then our culture just sort of surrounds those guys and they buy in and they just help us continue to grow and win games like today, because it's not easy to win in this league, and I think sometimes people think it is. You just can line up and go play, and it's not. It's not easy, and it's not easy to coach in this league, and it's hard. But just being able to buy into what we're all about has been a tribute and a credit to the players that we've brought in and the ones that have been here.
What does it say about the offense? Second week in a row, you basically had an 8-minute drive to put away the game, some key third downs. To be able to hold the ball for that long and basically put it away.
I mean, we talk about that all the time. We talk about our 4-minute offense, and we really weren't in 4-minute mode, but we were in that mode where offensively we kind of sputtered there in the second half a little bit. We had some opportunity, and we just didn't capitalize. But for them to kind of take it upon their shoulders, the defense was fighting and battling and doing their part, and the offense needed to go, and it was time for them to go. And again, it goes back to trusting the players, trusting the guys up front, trusting our quarterback, putting our guys in position to make plays, and they did that. And it's a credit to go down and obviously kick that field goal and then get the ball on the kickoff. But just a great effort for the offense.
As a play caller, how creative did you have to get on those third downs?
Excuse me?
As a play caller, how creative did you have to get on those third downs? You had 4 third down conversions on that drive.
We didn't have to get real creative. I just had to find the right play, and that's not easy either, But Mike Groh, my coordinator, did a great job. We had great communication during the game, especially late in the game, and gave me some ideas, gave me some suggestions to get to, and obviously they were plays that we went to and worked. And so I give him a lot of credit in that situation to really helping me out and finding the right play. And again, guys made plays for us, and we needed that at the end.
What did you see at that part of the game, Dallas Goddard screen, that call there?
Well, we felt like that. Obviously, they were chances. Obviously the rush, getting after Carson and all that, and just take advantage of that and use a tight end screen in that situation. And just a great play, well blocked. I think we got one guy off of Dallas there, and he was able to take it, make the first down. But again, a well executed play. Credit the guys.
This was a breakout game for Ertz. What did you see in this matchup? How was Carson allowed to focus on him as much and get the ball to him?
Well, Zach's a big part of our offense, as we all know, and I don't know if it was necessarily a breakout game, but he definitely was targeted a little bit more in this game, and rightfully so. I mean, he's a guy that can, when you throw him the ball, he can catch it, and he did a great job today. And I think it was just a credit to to Carson to find him. He ran really good routes today. He was tough. He was physical. Made some contested catches, and that's who Zach is, and it was good to see.
Two more, please. You get a little bit of a break now and get to do some self-scouting, sort of backward. Are there things that still mystify you a little bit about the way this season's gone so far that you want to dig into a little bit and make sure that they don't recur?
Yes.
What are those, Doug?
You were ready.
Yes, I was. What are
yeah, I mean, obviously, We do our standard, self evaluation, scouting. I mean, we'll look at third downs. We'll look at red zone. We'll look at how we start games. I got to look at all of that. I'll even look at how we practice, and if I need to make any changes in practice and different things that way. And it's more so about the situations and how we're using guys, and then breaking all that down so we can not have a lot of tendencies moving forward. We can kind of not start over, but at the same time try not to give our opponents any advantage that way.
Deshaun beginning here playing a lot of one eye, making Mitchell really try to focus on beating you guys. How much the game was putting it on him. So.
Well, our defense plays a lot of one high defense, and that's part of Jim's background and his MO. We definitely wanted to. It felt like we could get after him a little bit, put pressure with our defensive line, which we did early in this game, and play a little bit more man to man, and just make things harder. When you can do that, I think it's a carryover from last week. In the Bills game, our defense did that, and it is a credit to the D line though, putting pressure with our 4, and then some of the blitz packages being able to get home and disrupt some timing.
Deshaun didn't allow minus 10 yards as a defense 2 minutes ago.
Say that again.
Ever been in a game where your defense has allowed negative 10 yards 2 minutes ago and a half?
I don't think so. They played well today. Minus a couple of big, explosive plays in the second half. They played really well.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Okay, Coach says he's giving his team the charge to do some soul searching during the bye week and kind of think about what they want their identity to be in this second half. Where do you see the team's identity right now? Let's go big picture for a second.
Well, I think they're trying to still find their identity. They're starting to find a little bit of it offensively with their running game, but I still think from a passing game standpoint, they don't necessarily know who they are and what they want to be because, in part, it's inconsistency in the passing game, right? If you know what you're going to get every time you drop back and throw the ball, then you can start to establish an identity. But when you have drops, when you have protection breakdowns or things of that nature, it's hard to establish an identity from a passing standpoint. So I think it's something that through 9 games, because the personnel hasn't been available to them on both sides of the ball, it's really kind of been hard to find that identity. It's great that they're starting to get everybody back. You get extra week to prepare with the bye week coming up. So I think they can figure out what they want to do through these last 7 games. And also, this was the most difficult part of their schedule, right? They make it through it over 500. The second part of the schedule, I think, sets up well for them. They just have to go out there and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think to your point, I mean, every team in the NFL, I know it's tough for fans sometimes to make this connection, but every team every year has to find their identity, and that's really what the first quarter, the first third of the season is all about. Okay, who are we on both sides of the football? Are we a run team? Are we a pass team? Are we a quick game team? Or are we going to strike downfield? How do we want to try and attack you? Every team every year has to go. No team is alike from year after year. So you want to try and figure out who you are, and the first half of the year is all about stacking wins. They got 5 wins to start the season. Now you got to go out and say, okay, how are we going to play down the stretch? This is the first time that this coaching staff can kind of put the brakes on and say, okay, let's see what's worked really well for us, because you don't have that ability when you're game planning for other teams and you're worrying about what are you doing tomorrow. Now you can say, okay, what's working for us? How do we fine tune it? What do we improve on? Now let's go and win the final 7.
Well, and the other thing people always forget about this time of year is teams that are built for the long haul, are built for the winter, are built for the cold weather games, and we always see those teams have the most. And so that's not the same formula that usually works early in the year. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, the good thing for the Eagles, they have the running game to match that and a defense that plays well against the run. Those are 2 things you want when it comes to November and December.
That's the formula, run game and the defense. Let's get to your takeaways, Ike.
Well, we talked about the big win, right? Obviously, getting a win going into the bye week, I think, was very important. This stretch coming off that 3-game road trip where they lost 2 out of the 3, they got the big win to finish up the road stretch with Buffalo last week. You wanted to make sure you go into the bye week feeling good about yourself. No way you want to sit an extra week with a loss under your belt. It just becomes too difficult, especially with the defending Super Bowl champions waiting on you after the bye week. So I thought it was critical that they get this win against what I view as an inferior opponent at home. You had to get this W today. I think that's the first big takeaway I take away from this game, is that they managed to take care of business at home.
I think especially kind of building off that point and what I was trying to say just before, it's all about trying to find ways to win. What are the different ways that you can win games?
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to, you want to prove that you can win a game running the ball. You want to be able to prove that you can win a game with great defense. They've shown that they've been able to win games in different ways, and I think that that's been important. And to your guys' point, you want that defense, you want that run game, I'll also take great head coaching and great quarterback play. Yeah. Eagles have proven that they have both of those as well.
Yeah, checking all those boxes. And, of course, I know it's going to be just a lot more fun, positive vibes around these four walls with that win going into the bye weekend as well.
Yeah, and we need it. I mean, listen, it's been a up and down first half of the season. Some games that you had right in your grasp. And if you just were able to make the plays late in the games, your record will look a whole lot different. So I know from a player standpoint, those are some of the things you can draw on when you're trying to figure out whether or not this team has what it takes to make a run in the second half. There are a lot of positive things from this first half, but then there are some reminders that you have to make sure are also in your mind, not to where it hampers you, but to a point where it's just a friendly reminder that this is where we could go back to if we don't continue to pay attention to all the small details, right? That's what they need to do coming down the stretch. I thought in the first 9 games, too much sloppy play, penalties, turning over the ball at times. If you look at the 4 losses, look at the penalties and the turnovers in those games. That'll tell you how they ended up with 4 losses in the first 9 games.
All right, let's get to your second takeaway.
You mentioned Carson. I thought his play wasn't necessarily spectacular today. Did what he needed to do, made big throws. Could have used a little help from those weapons on the outside.
No doubt.
I thought he put the ball in position where his guys can make some plays. And as every quarterback will tell you every week, there's a couple throws he would like to have back. But I thought his biggest part of the game came with the final drive of the game, right? When he had to make plays on 3rd down, make the right decisions on 3rd down. And it's not easy when you lose a guy that you expect to have like Deshaun Jackson after the first series of the game. Then you lose Alshon Jeffrey at the most critical time of the game. And Carson didn't blink, found a way to make plays, gave his weapons an opportunity to make plays. And more importantly, against this defense, took care of the football today.
Well, look, a lot of those balls went right through those guys' hands, and that's not on the quarterback.
Yeah. Speaking of that final drive, I mean, they have 3rd and 8, right around midfield. 3rd and 8. They take a false start penalty, so now it's 3rd and 13. Carson Wentz drops back, doesn't like what he sees downfield, gets quickly to his check down to Miles Sanders, puts it out early enough that he can now get upfield, create yards after catch, and he goes for a 1st down. That's the kind of quarterback play you're talking about.
That was a really nice moment from him there. What about your 3rd takeaway?
And then we started the show by talking about Andre Dillard and the job he did on Khalil Mack over there today. I mean, until Khalil Mack tackled Jordan Howard out of bounds in that 4th quarter late, I didn't know Khalil Mack was playing today. I mean, that's the type of job that not only Dillard, but this offensive line did in containing Khalil Mack. My biggest concern coming into this game was he has the ability to disrupt your whole offense if he can get to the quarterback. And I was wondering how they were going to sort of scheme him up. That's 2 games in a row going against the Bears in the playoffs last year and in this game today that they've been able to neutralize arguably the best pass rusher in football.
Well, yeah, and I'm looking at Khalil Mack's stats right here. 4 tackles, 4 of them were combined. 1 quarterback hit, 2 tackles for a loss, Fran.
Yeah, I think it kind of speaks to, it's easier to try and negate an edge rusher than it is a guy like a Fletcher Cox or an Aaron Donald.
Middle of the pocket.
On the inside. It's easier to kind of give those guys help on the outside as opposed to, interior. There's only so much you can do with trying to say, okay, we're going to stop a guy like Fletcher.
And they lined him up just about everywhere.
They did.
Right.
They were trying to get him free.
Trying to find a
weakness
there.
in that line.
And, you would think Andre Dillard would be the guy because he is the youngest one on that offensive line.
So if he moved somewhere else, that means he wasn't having success against Andre.
That's good stuff there. As you talk about, the interior defensive line, I think on the Eagles side of things, I thought Fletcher Cox really seemed to come alive today. What did you guys see from him?
I thought Fletcher, along with Brandon, right? These guys, the last 2 weeks, you need your star players to step up and sort of lead the charge. And we know if the Eagles defense is going to have any opportunity to slow down offenses, it's going to start up front. And being able to control that running game it starts with number 91. And when number 91 is being disruptive, sometimes it doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but I vividly remember 3 or 4 plays where he just took the guard and just walked him back into Mitchell Trubisky's lap. Sometimes it led to a sack for someone else. Sometimes it led to an errant pass. But 91 was being heard from out there today.
So after the commercial break, I'm going to break down Jannard Avery's first half a sack as an Eagle. And I took a little bit of a look at it before I came over to the studio. And I was like, all right, let me just see what, so I can kind of think about it a little bit before I break it down. Let me just say that Fletcher Cox had a little bit of an impact on the play. I'm just going to say that Fletcher had a little bit of an impact.
What does he do?
He typically does.
Buy him some dinner or something like that? I mean, you could say the same about Brandon Graham's sack as well, which, by the way, Brandon Graham has six sacks this season.
Yep.
He had 4 all of last season. So
yeah, I think Brandon over the last 4 or 5 weeks have really just taken off. I mean, feeling comfortable out there. He certainly looks healthy, usually in the backfield, great against the run, had another tackle for loss today. Just happy to see that, a lot of his quarterback pressures and quarterback hurries are turning into sacks because Brandon pretty much has led the league in getting close to the quarterback and getting hurries and hits on him. Those quarterbacks tend to get rid of the ball before he gets there. I think the last month or so, he's been able to bring those guys down, and I'm sure that's rewarding for him.
We saw some cool things, too, from a pressure standpoint from the Eagles this week. I thought Josh Sweat's sack, it looked like Derek Barnett came in clean off the opposite side. It looked like they were running some kind of a stunt or a twist there. I think with the addition of Jannard Avery, who's a really explosive, twitchy pass rusher that can, bend and kind of beat you from all different angles, I'm excited to see what this Eagles defense now, we talk about the bye week and what are they able to do. This defense now is healthy. I mean, they're getting all their horses back at the right time because now they can go into the bye week and say, okay, we've got Tim Jernigan back. We've got Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby back. We have Avonte Maddox back. We're going to get Nigel Bradham back. We've got the new addition of Jannard Avery. What is this defense? What can we now do? We've got a little bit of time to prepare.
Absolutely. As a side note, I was going to say, let's talk about Tim Jernigan's impact. Carson Wentz is about to take the podium. But as a side note and a fun fact, twitchy is one of my favorite adjectives to describe an NFL player because there's really just, there's only that one word and it's a fun word to say and it just describes exactly that kind of thing. All right, we are about to hear from quarterback Carson Wentz on his win against the Chicago Bears. We know that he was on the sideline the last time the Eagles beat the Bears in the playoffs. So really interested to hear his experience the first time facing this Bears defense this year and getting a win over Chicago.
Much needed win.
A much needed win. We'll see if he's rocking the black like the rest of us are. We know they had the all black uniforms today. We'll see. And here he comes.
There he is. There
well, kind of. All right.
On 13, Miles said that when you hit him with the swing pass that he had covered blocking responsibilities first. What did you guys see pre-snap that kind of made you turn to him first?
Yeah, I mean, they were playing a really soft zone coverage, and Miles was just helping chip the DN and then had a flat route. And I just saw him kind of get really deep and tried to play fast and get it to him, and he made a great play.
What does it say about this offense? Their second week in a row with an 8-minute drive in the fourth quarter to kind of put it away.
I mean, it's huge. It's our recipe. It's what we want to do and finish games like that. Obviously, there in the third quarter a little bit, we kind of got a little stagnant and stuff, but we stayed with it. We grinded it out, picked up a bunch of key third downs, and moved the ball late in the game, and that was huge for us.
Deshaun didn't play very long, but when he was in there, did you feel that wasn't so congested in the short to intermediate areas?
Hard to say. I mean, he was only out there a little bit, and but it was a spark when he was, regardless of what he was doing. So hopefully he'll be fine and get him back out there.
Did you say anything to Alshon after the couple of drops there?
Just told him to come right back to him. It's part of football. It's part of the game. We're gonna all make mistakes, and nothing but confidence in him when he does do that. That I'm gonna come right back to him, much like we did on that third down later in the game. He made a great play.
How about the call to the Dallas Goedert screen there on the final drive?
Yeah, it was a great call. Obviously it worked out great, and Dallas did a tremendous job of creating separation. I was kind of back there just trying to find a lane to get him the ball, and that first down was huge for us and came up big in that situation.
What amazing connection with Ertz so effective today?
Hard to say exactly why. I think my connection with Zach is always, really solid, really strong. Some weeks it just shows up out there more than others, but when he's there, when he's called upon, nothing but confidence in him every single time. And, just kind of the way they were playing defensively, kind of led us to use him a little bit more. And, he was, a primary like he is oftentimes, but, it worked out really well for us, and he made some great plays.
When you evaluate yourself after a game like this, how much weight do you put on your performance in that final drive? The fact that you guys were able to move the ball when you did, and if you don't, you might lose the game. Do you stand back and say, I did what I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do it?
I mean, that's a very deep, question there. There's levels to that, but, coming out of the game, you just kind of want to just critique everything. There's throws I left out there early in the game, late in the game, plays we left out there as an offense. And so, but at the end of the day, being able to sustain that drive, and that's what we have to do. That's what good football teams, good offenses have to do. Stay on the field, convert, grind the clock out like we did, and that was really big for us.
Well, how do you avoid overreach on those third down plays? And do you feel like there's a difference or a slowing of your thought process as you figure out those things compared to earlier in your career?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
And as you figure out the right play to make on third down, how to avoid forcing it, for instance, and do you feel like there's an evolution in the way you're doing that now?
Again, it's kind of neither here nor there. It's just based upon what the defense has given me, what they're showing, and also a lot of respect for the pass rushers that they have, and not wanting to stand back there and hold the ball all day and get it out to our playmakers. So if it's Miles in the flat on 3rd and 13, that's what we're going to do, and he was able to make a play, and that's just kind of how this offense is, and just, we want to play fast, want to read fast, and guys are playing fast out there.
Given that the offense had sputtered a little bit in the second half, what was the message going into that last drive from you to the team and also from Doug?
Yeah, just stay together, and just finish the game. At the end of the day, like you said, we had a little dry spell there. We didn't capitalize on a couple third downs, didn't stay on the field, and put our defense in some tough spots a couple times, and they stepped up, made some plays, and but it was just, hey, stay together. We had those long sustained drives early in the game, and we basically said, hey, we need one more of these, one more of those, go down and score, and we were able to, we didn't score, but we got the field goal, and it kind of sealed the deal.
What would you say was the key play of that drive?
Boy, that's a big question. I'd just say those third downs. Obviously being able to stay on the field on, however we did, to stay on the field on those third downs, those were huge for us.
You get a little break now. And, where do you think the team is compared to where you were, say, a couple weeks ago coming out of Dallas? Were you guys just saying, hey, let's get to the break, let's maybe win a couple games against a couple good teams, and then build some momentum from there? I mean, how do you feel where you are right now?
Yeah, I think we all feel good about where we're at. Again, there's things the last 2 weeks that we've left out there for sure, but to be able to go against two good football teams and come away with a win, defense playing great, offensively sealing the deal late in the game on both these last 2 weeks, I think it gives us a lot of confidence going into the bye week. And, we were able to weather the storm of, those couple losses and kind of everything going on, and everyone stayed together. And, it's been, I've really liked what I've seen from everybody, and, we're a lot of confidence going forward.
So moving forward, what ultimate purpose would you like to see out of this offense moving into this key stretch of the season where you make that run for the playoffs?
Yeah, we just got to be able to stay on the field. I think early in the game, we had a couple third downs that we didn't execute. Late into the game, third quarter, same thing. We got to be able to stay on the field, convert. Want to be able to create some big plays again. I think we'll just keep getting better with that.
Carson, how has Miles been able to absorb not just the play calls, but also the mentality of this team so quickly, and how do you see him doing?
Yeah, he's been great. I can't say enough, really good things about him and really all the running backs. Jordan Howard, him. It was nice to get Sproles back out there, and but just the way he's coming as a rookie, just willing to learn. Willing to learn. We've asked a lot of him, from obviously running the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield, picking up protections, put a lot on his plate, and he's really handled everything well, and been able to make a lot of splash plays, a lot of big plays for this offense, and I love going to work with that guy.
You lost a little bit about the performance of your offensive line and how they were able to contain Khalil Mack especially, but they have some really good pass rushers and how they were able to contain them for the most part.
Yeah, hats off to our O-line. That's last week as well, being able to just establish the run game and today, both in the passing game and on the ground. Those guys are moving guys, giving me time, and they played great. That's an impressive front that they had to go up against with a lot of playmakers, and they handled it really well.
You lost both Alshon and Jordan in the middle of that last drive. How much are you aware of the interchanging personnel versus what players are coming in?
Yeah, I don't fully know why they're out. I see who's in the huddle with me, and we don't have time to think or worry. We just play ball, and guys are just kind of running there and fill in, and we're making plays, and that's the tough part of football. But guys did a good job stepping up.
When you guys have that running game, are you a better offense especially in this last couple of years? You guys better, when that running game is going?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. I think every team in the NFL would say they're a better team when they're able to establish the ground game. I think that's just the recipe, to open up the passing game, the play action, the bootlegs, all of that. And like I said earlier, hats off to our big guys up front for getting that going, which just helped open up some things.
Carson, you spoke about the team from a big picture perspective after 9 games. How about you? How do you feel you're playing at this point in the season?
Yeah, like I said, there's always plays I want back. There's always stuff I'm going to go watch the tape and kick myself from missing a call, physically missing the throw, all of those things. But those are definitely things I can keep cleaning up and just keep building the chemistry with all these guys. We got a lot of guys changing out and just keep building the chemistry. And but I can definitely play better, and I think as an offense we'll just keep getting better.
This is good too, I imagine too, right?
There's obviously lots of good stuff on the tape too, and but like I said, we just want to keep finding ways to stay on the field, make big plays, and I think offensively we can just keep getting better for us. Thank you guys.
Okay, casual Friday vibes there for Carson Wentz. Ike said it's that bye week outfit.
Bye week outfit.
Yeah, he's gonna go have a nice little bit of time off, well deserved, I'm sure. Let's just talk about his performance a little bit today. We did touch on it a little bit, but when it comes to the fourth quarter, just remaining unshakable. It was a kind of an ugly win, a hard-fought win. Nothing came easy, but Carson Wentz still able to do things at the end of the game.
This has been a group of tough defenses that he has faced over the last couple of weeks. You look at this defense, you look at Buffalo last week, you look at Dallas the week before, Minnesota the week before that. It's been a stretch of really good defenses. So to see Carson come out and perform in this way, the numbers aren't always going to look great. I know he didn't win fantasy games for you this week, but ultimately he came out and played very efficient football, put the ball where it needed to be. You saw some drops and some key moments that deflated some of the numbers at the end.
And didn't turn it over.
Yeah, and I think that was most important against this Bears defense. They're so opportunistic. They thrive on getting short fields for that offense. So the fact that the Eagles, particularly Carson Wentz, able to take care of the football today, I thought that was huge. And then you watch him in the fourth quarter, when they put these stats up about come from behind wins and being clutch and this and that and the other in the fourth quarter. To me, it was clutch in the fourth quarter, but that won't go down as a fourth quarter sort of clutch win when it really was on that final drive, 3 for 3 on third down, using his legs, using his arm without 2 of his top receivers out there. He was big when he needed to be big, and there was no other time that he needed to be bigger than that final drive of the game.
All right, we need to create a tangible clutch stat for the NFL.
Right,
the way the NBA has
Good luck, yeah.
There's a real actual tangible clutch stat in the NBA. We should make one for the NFL and for Carson Wentz especially. All right, as always, we have Doug Pederson one-on-one with Mike Quick. Let's take a listen to what the head coach had to say after this one.
First, Coach, congratulations. You started the game out with your deep threat, DeSean Jackson, in the game, but how big of an adjustment when he had to come out and couldn't play any longer?
Well, we obviously have a backup plan in that case, and then you're hoping that he could play the whole game, but we basically just had to go back to what we had done the previous 8 weeks, and that's just get guys in position. And it's something we talk about during the week, but definitely wanted to get him involved in this game. We were hoping that he could play the entire game. We'll see where he's at this week, and hopefully he'll be ready in a couple weeks.
With what you're starting to do in the run game in Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders, how big is that in terms of, especially in a game like this?
Well, it's big, and it's big especially down the stretch when you can control the game, when you have the lead. And again, I credit the offensive line, the tight ends. They do a great job of sustaining blocks, playing on their side of the line of scrimmage, and moving guys out of there. And then the backs are patient enough to find the lanes and then have enough burst to really get 4, 5, 6 yards a play.
You start off with a nice lead, then they come back with 14 points. We got a little bit nervous after that. So how do you get the team back on track when the momentum starts to swing the other way?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things where, we got to make sure that we don't lose focus, in those situations. And obviously the offense came out of the second half and we went right down and scored the touchdown. That was big to put us up 19 at that point. And then we can't just lose focus. We got to make sure we continue to play. There's a lot of football ahead of us in this game. And again, this is a good football team. And they did some nice things offensively. They had 2 big explosive plays that really kind of got them back into this football game, and something we got to evaluate as we move forward.
You mentioned explosive plays. Is that a part of the losing focus that you mentioned?
Sometimes it can be, whether it's a busted coverage or lack of communication on the deep ball, how a running back gets that wide open. Those are all things that sometimes gets kind of lost in the shuffle, and we got to figure out why the communications broke down in those situations and fix it as we move forward.
Early in the game, the Bears couldn't do anything offensively. Fletcher Cox is now healthy. How big is that for your defense?
It's big. You could see it today. His get-off was tremendous, and he is feeling good. I would say he's not 100% obviously this time of year, but he is feeling better. And he is such a big part of that defensive line, being aggressive to come off the ball as quick as he does, put pressure, on the quarterback. It's just good to see him back to his old self.
Now you get to breathe a little bit. You got the bye week. What does the head coach do during the bye week?
Well, we spend these first half of the week, and we look at our next opponent, obviously the Patriots, and then spend some time just self scouting, self evaluation, and try to break down all our tendencies and see if there's anything that we're putting out there that we can get better at, and it's something that as a staff, offense, defense, and special teams, we got to do that and really, and then take some time. We as coaches too need to take time and rest and be fresh for the next 7 games.
I know it's always better to go off on the bye with the win, so congratulations. Enjoy the bye.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Coach. I think we're all looking forward to a little bit of time off. And, of course, that self-scouting process that Coach Doug Pederson mentioned going to be very critical over the next couple of weeks with the New England Patriots waiting on the other side of the bye. Let's go back to this win over Chicago, though, and we know we always love to get a closer look inside the booth with Mike and Merrill. Here's Merrill Cam from this Eagles win.
Wing to the near side, slot to the far side, 2nd and 5. Handoff again to Montgomery, and he's thrown for a loss. They were all over Montgomery as he took the handoff, and crashing into the backfield was Brandon Graham, and he spills him for a loss of 3. Wentz looking for the football. He fakes, he looks, he steps up, he fires complete, and it is a touchdown. Zach Ertz. It is 3rd and 10. Shotgun, slot to either side. Eagles lead. 12-0. Back goes Trubisky. He is hit. He is buried. They've got him again inside the 25.
On the very first play for Avery as a Philadelphia Eagle, they blitz him off the edge, and he hits home.
And it's a give to Jordan Howard. He breaks a tackle. He's at the 35. He's at the 40, and he is up to the 44-yard line. What a run by Jordan Howard. How about 17 yards?
Just love the way this young man runs the football.
On 1st down, it is a handoff. Howard up the middle. 5, in for the touchdown. Jordan Howard, 13-yard run.
That's how you clear an alley.
Here is a huge play for the Eagles defense. Bears with a slot to the far side. Montgomery the single setback. It's 3rd and 9. Trubisky fakes. He rolls. He's back. He fires, and it's incomplete. Intended for Shaheen, the tight end, and it was knocked down by Avonte Maddox.
Man, that's a little guy, but boy, he plays big. Avonte Maddox in a big situation, going up and getting the ball away from the big tight end, Shaheen. Big play.
With 25 seconds left, Elliott pooches it. and the Bears come up. It bounces around, and the Bears are after it, picking it up. They fumble it, fight for the football. I think the Eagles have it back. The Eagles have recovered it, and that's the game. Duke Riley on the football as he pooch punted it. It bounced, picked up by one of the Bears' up men, and the Eagles come away with the ball. It was picked up, or tried to picking it up, was Adam Shaheen, and that's going to do it with 23 seconds left.
Always my favorite part of the show. I don't care what anybody says. In fact, I'm feeling extra inspired. And do you think that we could get like a behind the scenes of our show? It would probably not be as fun.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I would say definitely not as fun.
Definitely not as fun. There's always like a random spider that I find, and it's always very scary. Not terribly exciting. Fran, we will catch up with you in a little bit for the Ricoh review. Do you want to give us a little taste?
We'll talk a little bit about that Jannard Avery sack. I'm excited to dig into it.
New Eagle. Let's get to know him a little bit better. All right, we have to take a quick break. If you're watching us on social media, come on over to the Eagles app and PhiladelphiaEagles.com. That's where we will be after this break.
Meet the Wawa Hoagies. Every hoagie is made for you with delicious ingredients on a freshly baked Amoroso roll. Try one today, like a toasty cheesesteak, a mouth-watering meatball, or an Italian hoagie. Every one made just how you like it. So now that you've been introduced, stop by and get a fresh, delicious hoagie today. Gotta have a Wawa. Wawa is the official hoagie of the Philadelphia Eagles.